Something big going on. They gotta be something big going on. They get some live. They got traffic. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. There must be something going on in the world that I don't know about. Talking about traffic high. I mean, it wouldn't matter if traffic high because I'm always in my own little old lane where nobody drives by and nobody comes through. It ain't no high traffic area. As a matter of fact, I'm all the way in the corner on some side road somewhere. So it shouldn't matter if traffic high, StreamYard, whatever it is that y'all think y'all doing. Come again, huh? What is going on? What's going on in the streaming world? Is it something big? I don't know. Who knows what's going on out there? I just know. Oh, you see the sign behind me here. Today I'm taking you on a tour, Coconut Grove. I didn't want to focus on anything negative today, so I decided to go to my hometown just in case, because I know I'm not going to be here for the things that is about to happen. And I'm preparing. I'm living my life on a day-to-day basis, huh? I'm living my life the way that I'm supposed to, huh? I got a good testimony service coming up and everything. Because if I could talk negative about what's been going on with Department of Unemployment and all that stuff, I could talk about the positive stuff too. So I'm coming with that, huh? And I'm gonna take you on a tour of the Mayans, the Bahamians, Coconut Grove. I just, what happened is when I got up and started with my day, I had to go through paperwork. I was looking for something that I needed for something else. And it was pertinent that I found the information I was looking for. And so as I was going through papers, I ended up finding another paper. That's the last comment that I put in my community post. I put a picture of it. It was just like a reminder. And then after that, with all the good news that I had yesterday, and then waking up with more good news, and then going back down memory lane and still trying to hold my composure, then I ran into a situation and I was like, it can't be, just can't be real. But then again, am I supposed to complain, knowing that my steps have been ordered by the Most High God all this time? So let's see how long I'm gonna stay on here, because I'm actually, my body doing that thing again where no matter how healthy I try to exercise and do the right thing, my body does this. It goes vroom, 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 and then crash. As a matter of fact, right now, I did a couple of recordings. Right now, I can hear my heart ticking from right here. Like up here, I can hear a tick, 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 tick. Y'all might not can hear it because of sounds or the space in this room. But I did a recording a couple of days ago. I did another recording last night. Like literally, I can hold the phone like this and you can hear ticking like a TikTok. Maybe that's why they taking down TikTok, because my heart making the TikToking sound. I keep looking up because it's something up there. It's not a spider. I don't know what that is. And it's moving slowly. Okay, here, listen to some music for a second and I'll be right back. I got it. That's all that traffic I had coming in and out today. Let's see. I'm still on the All I Am. All right. Okay. So, for those who aren't aware, for 3 months, I've been unemployed. And 3 months, no matter where I put my foot, partially under the non-compete covenant that I somehow got caught up in and didn't know I got caught up in. But everything has been rejection. And I mentioned a couple of days ago, I said, even the federal government, who I was contracted to train under, but wouldn't come over here and be quiet, wouldn't upload my information. But come to find out that each state is working together, because initially I filed for the state that I'm in, and the state that I'm in told me, no, I need to file for the other state. And the other state may have very well been aware all this time that I wasn't supposed to file in that state, with me uploading my documents and everything else. But it's been a whole bunch of runaround. Like I said, the young lady hung up in my face last week, the week before last. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to leave it alone for a moment. And so, in light of all the other, the good news that's been going on, regardless, I haven't been without. You see, bills been paid. God has been taking care of every single one of my needs. And so today, like I said, I went and I said, well, let me just update and see what's going on with that. So seemed like today the whole call is like they were waiting. They had been waiting for me to call. So the first call went like way better than all the calls, well, except for one other young lady, which I think she wasn't aware. I'm not sure. Can't tell. You can't tell with actors and actresses of the government. And she let me know, she was like, and the same thing that young lady that had me on the phone for 2 hours, about 2 hours, then transferred me to some young man instead of transferring me to wages to escalate it. Then when I called back a few days later, she told me she don't see where I talked to anybody, but it was her voice the whole time. And then she put me on hold and act like she didn't hear, wasn't listening to me. And then I told her, I said, I have the same patience that I had when I stayed on the call with you for 2 hours. So I'm not going to hang up. And then she hung up in my face. Well, when I went over that information with the lady, she transferred me over to wages, right? Trying to understand why I haven't been the company that works for OPM didn't upload my wages. And come to find out they have, but they have been uploading it saying I'm not entitled to collect here in that state, which no one had told me that. Good thing I've been appealing and good thing I don't give up. So come to find out, the initial claim for where I'm at when I initially applied, it was supposed to be here the whole time. So the lady that here's the testimony. Each time that I went through some pushback and kept my patience and my peace and spoke with kindness and love towards those beings, today was the first day that it seemed to pay off. Because when they transferred me, the response from the young lady that answered the phone, well, the elder who answered the phone at first, she was really short with me. She had that Boston up north. It may not like just that up north, like nonchalant. I don't care about what it is. I'm doing my job and I can't help you. And she was just real short. Every time I opened my mouth, she acted like I wasn't being aggressive. I was talking the same way I'm speaking to y'all. I didn't have any sarcasm in my voice. I didn't have any look. I went through such and such crybaby type. I never even really got a chance to get words out of my mouth with her. She's like, what is this? What is this? What is this I'm seeing? I can't help you. You just... And I waited. And I waited. And then finally I said, okay, as I'm repeating what she's saying to me, I said, because I'm taking notes. And then finally I said, ma'am, I said, I'm not aggressive with you. I'm not talking to you in no short, sarcastic tone. I don't have an attitude. And you're cutting me off. You're not allowing me to speak. And she took a breath. She literally like breathed. And then she said, okay, I'll listen to you. So I took her through the process that I went through. And I also, because I was taking notes, I listened to her. So I actually pulled out my stubs to see what she was talking about. So I can, because I was listening to what she was saying to me. And then testimony service started coming through. And she said, well, honey, you're not supposed to be applied up here. You're supposed to be there because, see, I never applied for unemployment forever. Every time I've been without work, I find something else. I've never had really a harder time getting employment as I have since I've been here in this town. And I'm talking about for companies that I left in good standing in management here in this town wouldn't hire me. Like it's like they saying, we gonna see if you're a woman of your word. Something like that. That's the feel that I get of it. But anyway, so when she said that, I said, really? I said, ma'am, thank you so much. I don't know if she thought I was going to get out because I'd rather know the truth and then to stand if for me to call back. If me and her hung up and I hadn't had the patience, I would still be calling, putting in appeals and not and waiting for a hearing instead of the process that she told me I had to complete today. And in her testimony, she was saying, because she kept saying, she said, I care. I care about people. And then the thing is, in the middle of me telling her, I said, yeah, I'm taking notes. So I need to do this. This is the next step. The phone disconnected. But it wasn't like when that lady hung up on me a few weeks ago. I knew for some reason, I knew that this lady didn't hang up on me. And I sat there with the phone in my hand, waiting for her to call back. I did like this. I looked, and guess what? She called back. And she said, oh, ma'am, I didn't. I said, I knew you was going to call back. I don't know. I just, my spirit, soon as I said spirit, honey, she said, yes, God's spirit. And she started telling her testimony. She's recovered from stage 4 lung cancer. Not remission. She's recovered, healed from stage 4 lung cancer. I mean, and we went back. She spent the proper time, because in between, let me know what we, and encouraging me about life. And she's about 10 years my elder. But it was one of the best experiences that I had. It made each tedious process that I've dealt with since March worthwhile. So that was the blessing that came out of me being patient. Me not sitting here whining and complaining. Me not getting an attitude with some of the people that I had to deal with all of the rejection. It was worth it to hear how much she loved the love and light, and how love and light in her, because she kept saying that. She was like, no, I care about people. She said, I was the queen of unemployment. Receiving a receipt, because I said, I never applied for unemployment ever. I said, we're going to be 55 soon. I never applied for unemployment. I never had to. As soon as I don't have a job or have something else, I never. So she's like, honey, I was the queen. That's probably why they hired me, because they know I knew unemployment like the back of my hand. But her testimony of that healing and love and light, and to know that someone cares. She cared enough to listen. She cared enough to listen. So that is the positive outcome of the 90-day trial. The 90-day trial. That was 90. Has it been 90 days yet? 90-day trial. Yep. What is today's date? Yesterday made 90 days. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So next, what did I want to? Okay, let me stop for a minute. You see the cemetery behind me? This is the cemetery I was talking about or speaking about the other day, in Coconut Grove. And because I'm going to do a little history about Coconut Grove, I decided to play some old school Coconut Grove Sweetfield Missionary Baptist Church special event series of spiritual harmonizers. I'm going to play some of that in the background just for a little bit. And I'm going to take you through Charlotte Jane's memorial and a little bit of the history about Charlotte Jane's, but it's not really so much that I wanted to talk about Charlotte Jane then, because I think that's false history. A lot of the stuff that they say in the history of Coconut Grove, I think, is elaborated and not all factual. And then maybe tomorrow I'll continue with Cat Island, Old Bite. You know, I've done the Old Bite walkthrough, but that's the pathway of my, there it go. That's that thing that I tried to catch, whatever it is. I mean, it's keeping me company and I can't catch it. Anyways. That's when the driver from Walmart came and I told him, he was like, I said, can I sign for it? He was like, no, I have to take the picture. And I said, but I always sign for it. He's like, well, I don't know what happened. And I said, see, this is leaving the door open with all these bugs. Something's going to fly in. And I was sitting there doing this the whole time. And he said, just wait a minute. Just wait a minute. I was like, no. So that's, I guess, one of the things that came through. All right. Let me play some of this music. Again, like I said, I'm not feeling too hot, but I wanted to come and be, this is my pleasure. Streaming is my pleasure. I mentioned that before. It's my pleasure. It doesn't matter if nobody is in a chat at the time that I go live. The fact of the matter is somebody's going to show up and listen. And it shows in my analytics. And in the earlier times when I was learning to read the analytics, and it show somebody came over, 5 people came over, 10 or 15 people came over and listened, but they only listened for 5 minutes of a whole hour, you know, and it shows real time. That real time has picked up where there are a few people who literally listen the whole time. And see if it's just one. If it's just one, like between all of those people for the past 90 days that I've interacted with in the government, and there's where they think they're so high and like they have no concern or care or empathy. And not that they need to, you know, It's just when you're working positions where people's life sources are in your hand. Like, people that say, I work hard for my money. It's my money and I need it now, or I want it now. So for just one to hear that care, and the care came just by her listening, stopping to listen. All right, let's get some good old spiritual harmonizers up in here. Let me get some good old spiritual harmonizers. Enjoy this with me for a minute. Fair use. Educational purposes. Let me make sure it's coming in.
God goes in the water from cloud. Rain in heaven up high. It's gonna rain. It's gonna rain. Well, God got angels upon this stone. The angels in the heaven began to moan. To go down, angel, and stir the flood. To blow out the sun and change the moon in the blood. Come back, angel, and bar the door. I declare my time won't be no more. The turning red God when it started to rain. The women and the children began to scream. Some knocked on the battle at the door. Oh, brother, no, can't you take on more? No, sir, I'm sorry, friend. God got the keys and you can't get it. Well, it's gonna rain. Children, God gonna send the water from south. Oh, Lord, you rain to heaven up high. It's gonna rain. It's gonna rain. And never not stop. Brother, no, look out and worry. The water kept a duck. He sent him out a raven. He sent out a dove. The water bit God and kept coming from above. The turn loose, shoot on the bus, try to seek. They couldn't find land to rest their feet. So the wind did blow. The ark did rock. Brother, no, they couldn't find nowhere to die. My God spoke and he whispered low. Showed old Nora, he wanted him to go. He said, look ahead, Nora, the rain and stop. I won't to the land on the mountain top. Showed old Nora that the rainbow sign. It won't be water but fire next time. He called in the animals two by two. The ox, the camel, and the fowls too. Calling in the birds from out of the air. Fire will start flooding from everywhere. Calling in the jetback sham and a ham. My God, might start flooding the land. He raised his hand with the head on high. Knocked that sun and the moon around the sky. Shook the mountain, stirred the sea. He hitched the wind, he traveled the wheel and stepped on the land. Stood on the shore, declared this town won't be no more. Well, didn't it rain, children? God, he sent the water from south. Oh, Lord, he rained in heaven up high. It's gonna rain, it's gonna rain.
Hey there. That's them bringing back the memories, childhood memories. In church, we be excited when they when they have the little quartet battles. When they had a little the challenges, different male choruses from all over. And then our little church be all packed. I don't know. That used to be a time. It was exciting. Uh-oh. Did they block me? I think I got blocked.
Well, it's gonna rain. Children, God gonna send the water from south. Lord, he rain in heaven up high. It's gonna rain. It's gonna rain. Well, it's gonna rain. Children, God gonna send the water from south. Lord, he rain in heaven.
going to let it go ahead and play. I'm supposed to be going to the next song. Yep, every time I come, let me check my thing. Oh my goodness. Okay. Every time I come, it's coming through good. I don't know what they got going. I told y'all, they said it wouldn't even let me click the live button. Telling me it's heavy traffic. Like I said, it don't matter how heavy the traffic is on a Thursday night on the YouTube streets. It shouldn't affect me going live because ain't nobody be over here or no traffic. I be in the back roads where nobody comes. Anyways, here we go. Let me tell a little bit of history. I'm gonna tell you a little story about this little area, this cemetery that's behind me. Why am I starting at this cemetery in Coconut Grove? Why am I beginning at a cemetery? Because this was one of my views where my grandmother lived directly across the street. Like when we coming from our house in the projects to get to my grandmother's house, which was right on the other side, when we walked down Charles Terrace, this sign right here, this symbol, let me blow it up for you, was at the end of our street. This right here was right at the end of our street, or the beginning of her street. So you walk down Charles and make a left, and your first right, you go down another Charles. Okay. So this is Charlotte Jane Memorial Park Cemetery. Oh, I need to put on my glasses now. Hey there, Latrell Tinwell, Greater Light. Testing, 1, 2, 3, huh? Testing, 1, 2, 3. You're gonna take a walk with me down, going through Coconut Grove. Yeah, I didn't want to focus on Federal Register today and all they mess, but guess what? It's you, Latrell Tinwell. It's you. It's something about you, because you had just mentioned what you mentioned the other day. And as I was going through, I was looking at my school, one of my schools, and looking at the logo. And it's something you said the other day. And I was like, you on point. Once again, you always do that. You'll mention something and I'll be like, take it for, like, okay, I hear you, but what that got to do with anything? So I more than likely come across it again. I should have wrote it down. What was it? Elvira. You had said something about Elvira the other day. In one of your videos, I happened to be listening to. And the signature on, if you go to my community post right now, the signature on that is Elvira. I'm not making it up. I can't make it up. And I dare not even say the last name. Then it was something else you mentioned. It's something else you mentioned. And as I, again, playing around looking at Coconut Grove today, the name came up. That name came up. I said, whatever it is, Latrell Tinwell, Copper Christ got going on, huh? Anyways, so let me go ahead and read this little bit. So again, this graveyard right here, every morning when we woke up, if we were at my grandmother's house, if we go outside to play, we're going to look at the northeast entrance of the cemetery. But the history behind who Charlotte Jane is and why they named this cemetery after her has to do with the first four ships. The first four ships history. Oh, here it is. So I was Ellen G. White. When you asked me about Ellen G. White, I was listening to was you over here, or I don't know where it was that we were talking about, if I was on your panel or what. You mentioned Ellen G. White and Seventh-day Adventist. And come to find out, I'm looking at Ponce de Leon, my junior high school, and the name under the person who started or began that school in 1924 has some connection with Robert Olson, who is the estate holder for Ellen G. White. That was today. I found that out today. Yes, laugh again. Put LOL in the chat. That happened today. I said, wait a minute. So then I start digging a little bit further from the things that I already knew about Ellen G. White. I learned in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, but I never really thought to look any deeper than the surface of what I had until today when I saw that action. I said, wait a minute, she don't have nothing to do with Florida like that. So I thought, I know that all her stuff is in Library of Congress, the national this and that. Okay. So that name is connected to the name of the state holder of her, right? And then they had something called some Z file, huh? Some file that is so top secret or something. And it's all connected to Ponce de Leon Middle School, the person that started the school in the 1920s. Now, you know, he's connected to the Gables and the same lady, the Charlotte Jane, cemetery. Even though this is a predominantly Bahamian cemetery, I'm talking about the millionaires, the Bahamian millionaires that own land and property. Here in Coconut Grove is here in this cemetery, but her name with Charlotte Jane is not a being, it's a ship. Charlotte Jane is a ship. So, you know, I was in the rabbit, fox, groundhog hole today. Whatever a hole is a hole. There's a hole in the bottom of the sea. And I enjoyed being there today, like I said, because it was so much going on with me making sure that I keep my balance. The highs and the lows, the good and the bad and the ugly. I didn't mind going to those holes to the bottom of the sea. And again, that's why I'm not at Federal Register right now. I just said, well, let me just take a little walk around the Grove. So before I start reading the Charlotte Jane, here's Google Earth. Here's Google Earth. And on this Google Earth, now you see the address that I have here, the 2916 Grand Avenue. I put that in because I was seeing where gonna talk about where they moved the first school, the first public school in Florida. The first public school was founded in Coconut Grove. Okay, the very first public school in Florida was founded in Coconut Grove. So I went to that address to, show how they moved the school. And I said, nope, that's going to be a little too much just for the day. I'll probably do that tomorrow. So see, that's why this address is on the screen. So what I did is I left the school, I brought the map over and came less than half a mile down to the cemeteries, to this cemetery that I'm going to talk about, the Charlotte Jane Memorial, and seeing who Charlotte Jane is. Now, I don't know if you can see my pointer. Let me know. Can you see my pointer? Marine Spirits, Marine Kingdom. Can you see my pointer? I don't know if you can see my pointer, but let me see. Okay, so here you see this, the entrance is right. Let me look on my phone, see if y'all can see my pointer. Let's see. Check my thing. Let's see. Do you see my pointer? Let's see. Check my thing. Nope. Yes. And I got a big old pointer up here too. Let me see. So what's the best way for me to direct y'all? And all right. Give me a second. I'm trying to figure out. Okay, you see how I just moved this little arrow right here to the left? We're on the left side of the screen. As I walk up the street, the midpoint right here at the entrance of the graveyard. Okay, you see Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church? That's a landmarker. That's a landmarker for how I'm going to direct you. So coming back down towards the end of the page, the entrance of the graveyard right here, that street is where I grew up on. We walk down the street, go, and there's the entrance. We make that F, and the first right at Macedonia Baptist Church. We walk right on down and see you see Macedonia Church on the left side of the street, not the side where the graveyard is. The first tree, little tree, the second tree, and the third tree. That third tree is where my grandmother's house used to be. And that's the oak tree. That's an oak tree. No, see, they did something with the property. That's Miss Nicola tree. The second tree is wow. I thought they built a house there or something. This must be real old. Okay, so this third tree, this is the oak tree. It's something missing. It's something ain't right up in here. Because see, my grandmother's house, they must have built something here, and I can't see. I haven't been to the Grove in a long time. Say 2005. That's the last time I was anywhere near Coconut Grove. Am I telling the truth? No, I might be a little off on them dates too. Well, anywhere on this street, they've done some reconstruction. Okay, so this big tree behind there in the middle, that's an almond tree. That's an almond tree. And then the church that I showed y'all, or where I was just talking about, let me move the map. Sweetfield is down here. So you walk down to the end of the block and make a right and go down, and there's Sweetfield right there. Okay, so now let me go to Charlotte Jane Memorial and read about Charlotte Jane. Charlotte Jane Memorial Park Cemetery, formerly known as Coconut Grove Bahamian Cemetery, is a historic cemetery in Miami, Florida, where many Bahamian settlers were buried. The historic many Bahamian settlers were buried, and there's people buried on top of people, on top of people, on top of people, and I know what I'm talking about. And my stepfather, he's buried there also. As a matter of fact, let me go back and show something. As a matter of fact, where's the map? Click back over here instead. So where I showed you where my grandmother, so I showed you that. Why is it doing that? Show you the house with my grandmother, where that tree is. My father, his grave is directly across the street from that third tree. All right. Okay, now let me continue reading. Charlotte J. Memorial Park Cemetery was first used as a graveyard in the late 1850s. The land for the cemetery was purchased in 1913 for a total of $140 by 5 prominent families: the Burrows, the Higgs, Reddicks, the Ross, and the E.W.F. Sturps. And I'm telling you, they're not Charlotte Jane off the boat families. Sturp owned majority of the property, and I'm not talking about Coral Gables, them, and Peacock and them. I'm talking about the Bahamians. So the cemetery was renamed Charlotte J. Memorial Park after the wife of E.W.F. Sturp. But see, I don't know nothing about E.W.F. Sturps. And when I go and look, and if this is the Sturps on the other end, then there's some twist in the story. I'm telling you from what I like, it's almost like information is slowly transitioning. What do they call it? Do they call it whitewashing? As they get like slowly move everybody out. I'm telling you, it's happening. When I go back through all of my high school yearbooks, I've been doing that lately. It's almost like I'm disappearing out of the stories. It's just like I'm literally like I'm nowhere to be found, and no way. I'm serious. When it used to be easy for me to go online, look at old 1982 yearbook, because I was always on track and field, and the track and field team, usually when you type in, especially the sports for a school in that year, you'll see a picture of the teams. Okay, click none of, like, everything is just slowly fading away. They just writing everybody out of the stories. Well, maybe not y'all, but definitely on my end. So let me continue. The cemetery was renamed Charlotte J. Memorial Park after the wife of E.W.F. Sturp, a prominent landowner and millionaire in the Grove. The layout of the cemetery is of the above ground burial style, which is very popular in the locations at or below sea level and are prone to flooding. The Coconut Grove Cemetery is located at 3650 Charles Avenue in Coconut Grove District of Miami, Florida. The cemetery is a historic site for the Coconut Grove Bahamian community. So let me do myself a favor. Let me stop for a second. See, I wish I could do like you and just ride around all over where I want to do. I'm going to be able to do it before I leave this good, bad world. before I leave this whatever it is, if I could change the world. See? Okay, so here, this is what I remember in our story. So this is okay. They ain't changed that part. But they saying his wife, Charlotte Jane, right? But Charlotte Jane is a ship. And whoever did this painting don't do justice for the picture that I remember of who the Sturb is, and the Sturb family still to this day. The Sturbs, the Rosses, all them prominent people in Coconut Grove. All right, so let me continue. Let me get back to it. I just wanted to do that for my own. That's like, wait a minute. Because the information that I see about Charlotte Jane has to do with a ship. What you said, maritime spirits, huh? The Marines in the Marine Kingdom, huh? Coming out of the coral. Here we go. Continue reading. Share this tab instead. So again, that image that I just showed you, he was a prominent landowner and millionaire in the Grove. The layout of the cemetery is the above the ground burial style, which is very popular in locations at or below sea level and are prone to flooding. The Coconut Grove, but we never had a flood in that area that I remember. In all my times of being from the Grove. I don't never remember flooding. The Coconut Grove Cemetery is located at 3650 Charles Avenue in the Coconut Grove District of Miami. The cemetery is a historic site for the Coconut Grove Bahamian community. Thriller, Charlotte Jane Memorial Park served as an inspiration for the graveyard scene in Michael Jackson's song Thriller. What you got to say about that, Latrell Tingwell? According to John Landis, the music video's director, the pre-production was done at the cemetery, which in turn was replicated at a disused meat packing plant in Los Angeles. Anytime they had strange stuff going on over there at the cemetery, and I'd be like trying to sit on the porch and watch and stuff, because my grandma, we couldn't, even though we was right there across the street, we couldn't just go across the street. We was yard children. We couldn't just go across the street, especially if she wasn't going to go across the street. So it'd be stuff going on, and I'd be wanting to look and see. Now, I wasn't, as a matter of fact, I think I was in Job Corps when, I don't know where I was when they did that voodoo scene for Philip Michael Thomas, but they did a lot of scenes there. But every single time, I'm talking about every time, I be trying to get a look and look. You come in, Kitty, get here. Huh? Get in this house. Ain't nothing to see. Huh? Ain't nothing to see. Ain't nothing to see. But let me finish. So the burials. Many prominent Bahamian pioneers were buried in the cemetery in either marked or unmarked graves. And if I'm not mistaken, my father is unmarked. But who he's on top of, huh? All right. Joseph Mayer, owner of Bicycle Shop in the Grove. Daniel Anderson, Seaman. Catherine Anderson, one of the founders of Christ Episcopal Church. I can show y'all that church. And Captain Sean Sweeting, land developer and commercial fisherman. It's way more than that. Way more than that. But I just really want to get to Charlotte Jane. So here's a view. So this view right here, that's Douglas Road. That's Douglas Road going north. And then that's Macedonia. And you see the sign right there. Again, we would come from that direction to walk over here to my grandmother's house. What's the next picture? Now, over in this direction, that must be the new houses over there. It looked like the same old apartments, but I can't tell. I tried to zoom up in there. Now, on the other side of the cemetery, there used to be a Catholic school. And that Catholic school was abandoned for a minute. As a matter of fact, we were more scared to go past that Catholic school than to go past the cemetery. I'm not joking. I ain't making it up. I preferred to take the long way to go to church. I used to be glad when we spend a weekend at Grammy house, because everybody else in the community, if we walk to church from Charles Terrace, from the projects, and it was more than just us going, where all our mothers call and say, okay, we all be sending them to Sunday school. Everybody gather up, meet at such and such, and we walking to Sweetfield. Everybody wanted to go past that little, until some type of little crime happened there. Something happened with some little girl, and that's the same week. Right before that, my mother had a vision. She told us not to walk that direction. Sure did. I'll never forget that. And not long after that, they tore that school down. All right. I'm not going to try to read the sign. I ain't going to read the sign. I'm just looking at more pictures. And the person here, Daniel De Palma, who took this picture, says this is the Northeast. And that's that. I don't think they do the history behind it any, really any justice. Now that church, Macedonia, let me tell a little story about Macedonia. The daughter of the pastor was a high school principal also. He wasn't just the pastor. He was the principal at Jackson, at Miami Jackson High. Not assistant principal, he was the principal. And I used to like to skip school. Now, she was older than me. She was older than me, but I wasn't a follower. I was a leader. I wasn't a follower. But she was more than a leader than me because of her prominence in the community. They were wealthy, they had money and all that. And she was on the other side of the graveyard. She was on the side of the street closer, you know, where the money was, and they 2-story homes. And I was from the other side of Macedonia, the other side of the graveyard, out of the projects. But we clicked. When they had the young matrons meeting and meetups, even though we was at different churches, we'd be glad to we gonna see each other and then talk about it when we see each other years later. And one time we got in trouble, and this was a time that I didn't do nothing. I didn't do nothing, but boy, all of us got in trouble. All of us got in trouble. And the way it went, by the time they finished calling her daddy at his school from our school, her daddy, by the time it got to my grandma, because my mom and daddy them was out of town, by the time it got to my grandma, oh boy, I was scared. And I wasn't scared about my grandma. I was scared when my mom and daddy them came in town, when they came back from whatever trip or vacation they was on. They was on a vacation. And I thought I was going to be big and bad and bold enough, huh? We're going to skip school, have fun. And it was a good cause. It was a good cause, Latrell Tinwell. So, because at the time, this is my son's father now. At the time, he had a whole pile of stomach issues. He was always bleeding from the stomach. Always. He was in and out of the hospital. But we grew up in the same church. He was the drummer boy of the church. But I couldn't stand him, Latrell Tinwell. I'm talking about only as a friend, I couldn't stand him. I couldn't stand him. He knew it. That didn't stop him. It didn't stop him. Anyways. So this year he was in the hospital again, and that's how we ended up saying we was gonna skip school. It was like, look, because I went to see him in the hospital, like we all did, friends. We just went, hey, you doing all right? And then when he got out, that same time that my mama then was out of town, but I was at my grandma's house, and I had to walk down the street, pick it, take the newspaper, put it in the house, check the mailbox, put it in the house, lock the door. They gave me a little responsibility, and then go walk the 2 miles to school. So, so we decide we skip school. Her boyfriend, which was literally, that's who I was in love with. I had been in love with him before, while she had a boyfriend. She wasn't thinking about him. That's who I was in love with. This Muslim, quiet. I'm talking about, let me tell you, Latrell Tinwell, I liked him so much, even though he didn't like me. Seemed like he didn't like me at all. I made sure every friend that was around him, I was somehow connected to every friend that was around him. Now, him and my son father were best friends. And my son father, I did not like him. And I wasn't sexual. I kept my virginity all the way up till I was 16. As a matter of fact, all the trouble that we got in, I should have done something. I'm talking about, I got the worst beating I ever got in my life, and I hadn't did nothing. I wouldn't let him kiss me. I wouldn't even let him kiss me all that time we was in the room while they was in the room doing what they was doing. As a matter of fact, one of the songs that I did and a poem that I did was about that day. I did it with AI. I might find it and play it, But it was about that day. I wouldn't have did nothing with him in the next room, period, knowing how I felt. But that ain't stopped my son father at the time. He wasn't my son father then. We was only 14 then. When I slept with him, finally I was 19 years old, 18 going on 19. But so my grandmother, this is the way she scolded me, because she asked me after her mama came to the house and said, like, I was the one that led her daughter to do something like that. I ain't did nothing. So I'm looking at my grandma. I said, Grammy, I didn't do nothing. And when she left with her daughter, the pastor's wife, when she left with her daughter, she was like, my grandma, she said, but you skipped school and you shouldn't have did that. And she said, look me in my eyes. Anytime she wanted the truth out of her, look me in my eyes. Did you do anything? Tell me the truth. I said, I didn't do nothing, Grammy. I wouldn't even let him kiss me. And she told me, hold my hand out. And she took a ruler. She took that ruler and popped my hand a couple of times. But when my mama, they came into town that morning, they had already got all the message. And I did this. Woo, I could have boo-booed on myself walking from my grandma's house to go put that newspaper in. And when I got there and seen the car in the yard, I was like, oh, Lord. Oh, goodness. I walked in the house. I was like, good morning. They say nothing to me. I was like, oh, my goodness. My daddy said, yeah, we'll see you when you get home. So I get to school the whole day. I'm trying to figure out if I should run away. I was trying to figure out if I should run away. Now, I had to walk almost, and I'm talking about this church right here. I used to have to walk almost 2 miles to and from school, right? So that walk home, I usually used to walk home fast. Boy, I walk slow. I walk slow. When I walked in that door, my mama was already waiting. Daddy, he wasn't at work. They must have still been on vacation. Because Daddy, he said, you better be glad it ain't me. But he still got to me, though. But he said that. He said, you better be glad it ain't me. I stood at that wall. My mama said, what did you do? Before I could open my mouth, my head hit the other side of that wall so hard. And my mama ain't not even 5 feet. She got a powerful right arm. My head hit the other side of that wall. I said, I didn't do anything. I wouldn't even let him kiss me. She said, I don't believe you. I'm looking at her like, I swear I didn't do anything. Because I guess the pastor's daughter was, going through whatever she was going through, and she did do something. They thought I did too, so I guess. So, after I got my tail tore up and everything, the next morning, my mother takes me to the doctor. The doctor say, no, she hasn't been doing anything. She's a good girl. But that wasn't good enough for my mama. That wasn't good enough, because after she took me to the doctor, she took me, because everybody got in trouble except for my son father. He stayed on the okay, so my friend, they was wealthy. They wasn't middle class. They was wealthy. Now, my son father, they was the middle class. Now, and again, his mama and my mama, they was kind of like, there was a clique in the church. They was good friends. So I don't know how she didn't get the call over there, or he must have been intercepting the calls because she didn't know until we got there. So my mama take me and we sit down. I mean, this ain't even the end of it now. You wait till the Muslim daddy come. So we sit down and she said, nope, don't you sit down. And she started telling my son's grandmother, and she didn't even open her mouth. He was standing there. She picked up a vase or something, went right for his head. He ducked it. I don't know what happened after we left, but he got it. She said, you had in my house. So I don't know if my mother got a chance to tell her, well, Abigail didn't do anything. I don't know if he did anything with anybody else after they left, but that wasn't good enough that I was a good girl. Now, later on, we get back to the house, and here comes the Muslim daddy. Tall, just taller than my dad. My dad was like 6'3". And for him to be so tall, with his son being as short as he was, short and dark skinned. Right? And I wasn't even concerned about anything anymore to see the one that I loved for the first time in our little quaint project box. Now, he stayed behind the graveyard. As a matter of fact, if I show a picture of the graveyard, he stayed on the other side of the street that my Black Toad said that my mama, we wasn't supposed to walk. He stayed on that side. And they were like middle class. Maybe even wealthier than that. Like they owned that house. They were well off. So now, I don't know if my mother said or they defended, well, she was a good girl. She didn't do anything. I don't know why he was there at the house. You know, like his father came to scold me and look me at the face to call me a little whatever, because I didn't do anything with him. He wasn't active with me. He wasn't in no room with me. He was in a whole separate room, doing whatever he was big and bad enough to do, So, but his father just like talked and was talking around my head as though I was like a whore and I didn't do anything. Saying all that to say is sometimes, I don't know, it's just always been like that with my life. I don't know. But it was good to go down memory lane and share this story. This is a book. This is a live book. A live book. And after his father left and my dad sat down and looked at me and talked to me with some type of empathy. And, you know, he was caring, but he was spreading wisdom. He was telling me a lot of things that I needed to hear that I didn't really understand at the time. I didn't. I still didn't. I can't really even recall what it is that he might have said. And I have a, good memory with certain things, but I can't remember because I was like in my mind, ooh, he just sat here on our couch, huh? I would have been glad to get in trouble if I could have just got a kiss from him. Now, that's where my mind was. And let me tell you how our friendship over the years, all of us. So, the story about my son and everything, Latrell Tinwell. And that my son father, you might not know none of that part of the story, but when I came out of South Florida Evaluation and Treatment Center and the cliques were still the way they were, my first husband, middle name Jesus, him and that same one that I was in love with was friends too. Now, in my all of the different experiences in my life, I could never look him in the eyes or anything after that. Like, I don't know. I couldn't. I couldn't. So he ended up being at my wedding. He was at the wedding because he was invited by my first husband, middle name Jesus. Yep. He was there at my wedding. And my son was there all dressed up in white. Everybody had on their white and burgundy. We had a big old church cake. Uh, and because he was sitting, let me tell you, now I'm going to be real about something I ain't never shared with nobody. Because he was sitting at the reception, he was there. And I was thinking about all kind of things. You know, it was a good day. I hadn't sang to my husband and all, and I was looking around at everybody, and they had took my son to his location. Because at that time I was definitely in a process where they had me jumping through hoops. I was trying to get my son back. And we left. I was like, I want to go. We didn't do no first dance. We ain't do no, you know how the reception goes on and all type of celebration and all that, and throwing flour and all that. And I was ready to go. I couldn't even stay. I felt some type of way that my son couldn't stay there the whole time. Mm. All kind of events that day. You know, was I doing the right thing? But when I looked and our eyes connected, I was ready to go. And we left. we left. We left. I told somebody, I was like, yo, go, don't say nothing. Don't let nobody know we left yet. Huh? That we about to leave. One of the might have been my cousin, one of my cousins, because my cousin, a couple of my cousins was a flower girl, the bridal party, the chicken lady. She was my maid of honor at that same church that I said, if you want to go see who the chicken lady is, go type in the chicken lady and President Bush. Yeah, she was my maid of honor. So that's a little history again. When my grands, because I don't think I'm going to be here before everything ends. And my grandchildren, like I'm doing what you do. I take now and I download this stuff. Putting them up on files and stuff if they ever need to. Just click, play this. Grandma said this. Grandma said what? That ain't true. Let me look that up for myself. That's our history. Grandma went through that. Yep. Well, let me go ahead and get some rest. They're going to be here tomorrow. I was going to do some first schools, the first Coconut Grove. I should. You know what? Let me go ahead and put the first Coconut Grove schoolhouse story. So I told a little story about myself. Let's do that. First Coconut Grove School. All right. And literally, almost everybody in Coconut Grove is Bahamian. Even the ones who picked at us, who accents, like my grandma's accent was really, really strong. And the reason why I have Abigail on my name, see how I got Abigail, is because through elementary, some of the children and through the community, when we did go to like the barnyard, I should type up the barnyard, the history of the barnyard. They would call me Abigail. I had all kind of names, Chichi Wamba, all kind of names. Some of us, we get that. But Abigail was one of them. As a matter of fact, it was a Ellis. King Ellis is an Ellis that gave me the name Abigail. Huh? No, I ain't even exaggerating. I tell you, the Ellis is out of the Grove. Yes, sir. He called me Abigail, huh? And then when he started liking me, well, I guess he always did, but when he started trying to say my name right, he still couldn't say my name right. He's that Abigail. Huh? To me, the Ellis, the whole family, the Ellis house, they was the first gangsters of the community. Huh? They was the first gang. Huh? You talking about gang. Don't ever, Sunshine was one thing, but they was all the way on the other side. They was on the Golden Gates. He had to come out of the Golden Gates to get through on the other side. But when you pass it through the areas that are, don't get caught by Ellis, huh? And you done talk some slick talk or something, or they just in a mood to mess with you, huh? And all of them was bodybuilders, the girls and the boys. anyways, so that's why I got Abigail there. That's why I got Abigail. But let me read this first Coconut Grove schoolhouse story. Let's see. The first Coconut Grove schoolhouse. Oh, let me share it. The first Coconut Grove schoolhouse is a historic school located in Coconut Grove, Florida. The school originally resided at 2916 Grand Avenue in Miami. The structure was built in 1887 by Coconut Grove pioneer Charles Peacock. Now we got a park called Peacock Park, and that's another one of our little favorite places. And Peacock Park was over there near the library. That was one of them little favorite places to hang. A good spot. As a matter of fact, the Marleys used to come there often. There used to be a lot of free concerts out there, but that was just one of them spots. It was one of them spots. Anyways, Peacock reportedly constructed the house using wood gathered from ships wrecked by nearby Key Biscayne. The building originally served as a community gathering place with Sunday school as its main purpose. In 1889, the one-room schoolhouse became the very first public school for area children. The building's owner, Charles Peacock, was paid rent in the amount of $12 for the first 7-month school year. 10 children from Penn, now we got a street, Fro Avenue, Penn, and Peacock pioneer families were the first attendees. The first meetings of the Miami-Dade County School Board can be traced back to this period, with the first Coconut Grove Schoolhouse located in the school district number 3. The first teacher hired by Miami-Dade School Board to instruct pioneer children of Coconut Grove, Flora McFarland, was contracted November 1889. The schoolhouse also retains historical significance since the first meeting of the Women's Club of Coconut Grove were held on site. In February 1891, Flora McFarland and Coconut Grove pioneers Isabel Peacock, Euphemia Froh, Mary Monroe, and Louisa Newbold began their work of organizing numerous social, civic, and educational projects. In 1902, Charles Peacock sold the first Coconut Grove schoolhouse for $400. The property remained in possession of the new owner until it was sold again in 1944. The building was then purchased by Ryder Systems, refurbished, and relocated to Plymouth Congregational Church property in 1970. The schoolhouse remains on the property at 3429 Devon Road, Miami, Florida, 33133. They changed the area code, but the zip code is still the same. On January 21st, 1975, it was added to the U.S. National Register of Historical Places. So that's a little bit about a little bit of history. A little bit about a little bit of history in Coconut Grove. Let me go back to Google Earth. Let's see what's going on here. So here's the cemetery again. This right here, that's the Muslim house. And this, on each side of the graveyard, is different wealth barriers. Okay, so this is the middle class, right? Of Blacks. And this is the other side of the wall right here. See all these pools and stuff? Of wealthy Coconut Grovians of the, I don't know if, it's changed now, but mainly it was all white people. But this is the wall that's separated now across here, all these homes right here. I don't think y'all can see my arrow. On the right side of the street, depending on where you're looking. See, up here is the projects. Wait, let me show you. Okay, you see them, all these little boxes here to the top of the page before you get to the end of the street where I grew up at right here. Here's the school that was across the street from my house. And my grandma's house was down here by the graveyard. There's a wall right up in here. And this wall, see all those pools down there? Separated the above income. They weren't wealthy, but they were middle class. These houses right here, they all own their houses. Like down here, the Knowltons own their houses. Over here, here's a project. One of these projects here, we lived in the project right here, and Miss Ross, they own their house. So all these houses over here, the people own their house. The Blacks own their houses. But across the street, directly across the street, these are the projects. And across the wall, this wall here, was the rich white people. And I had a friend, her name was Andromeda. And I won't say her last name. but she swayed and was torn. She hung. And me and her was really, really close. Like almost, you could say kind of like almost best friends. Almost. Almost. I won't say anything negative about how that ended with her. But she would walk with me sometimes instead of catching a metro rail, because my family, my dad, them, even though he, you know, whatever, they had money, but it was spent a different type of way. I couldn't catch the metro rail. I had to walk home from school. And every now and then I'd have people that would walk with me, and she would walk with me. And when we get here to my house, I'll put my bags or my books down, and I would walk with her until we get right here, and she'll make that right to go down here into her community. She couldn't cut through and jump the wall that divided us. Yep, that's enough. Greater light. Latrell Tinwell, I appreciate your presence. King Ellis, I appreciate you hanging out with me. I think I'm going to do this a little bit more often. All that pressure that I felt, I know it probably wouldn't even went anywhere if I was reading something from Federal Register today. But what brought me to this and my history and my walks was that same document that I put in my community post today. You know, that greater light, I appreciate you. And let me close out with some good old Coconut Grove music. Spiritual harmonizers. Like I said, all the churches all over Coconut Grove, when spiritual harmonizers was in the area, we knew it was going to be a good Sunday. Yeah. We knew it was. Y'all hear that? Wait a minute.
You couldn't find land to rest their feet, so the wind did blow. The ark did rock, brother Noah couldn't find nowhere to dock. My God spoke and whispered low, showed old Noah he wanted him to go. He said, look ahead, Noah, the rain never stop. I went to the land on the mountain top, showed old Noah that rainbow sign. You're gonna be water, but fire next time. He called in the animals two by two, the ark, the camel and the fowls too. Calling the birds from out of the air. Fire will start flooding from everywhere. Calling the jetback Shem and a ham. My God Almighty start flooding the land. He raised his hand to the heaven on high. Knocked that sun and moon from the sky. Shook the mountain, stirred the sea. He hitched the wind, he traveled the wheel and stepped on the land. Stood on the shore, declared this time won't be no more. Well, didn't it rain? Children, he send the water comes out. Oh Lord, he rain the heaven on high. It's gonna rain.
No music, no instruments. No instruments. That's all them. No instruments. It rain, children. It won't. I don't know what YouTube doing. Why they won't let me go to the next song. But again, closing out. Greater light.